All right, everybody, we're going to get started. Hello, and thank you for joining us. My name is Mike Peterson, and I'm the founder of Science in Design, which is an educational and marketing platform that helps the design industry realize its role in improving health. We're very excited about this session today. This is a reprise of what we did at April Market, and that was so successful. And the attendants, the attendees at Market, really learned a lot. And I will tell you that in our warm-up session a couple days ago, it was just thrilling to hear the excitement and passion in the voices of our three guests. Before we get started, I want to make a couple of announcements. First of all, I want to congratulate Kayla Pearson. Kayla, I don't know whether you're on yet or not, but you'll hear this in the recording. Congratulations, you just completed the Science and Design certification just yesterday. So yay, Kayla. I also want to remind everybody of our August webinar. August 14th, same time, noon Eastern, we will have Dr. Rebecca Tapia, who is a brain specialist out of the University of Texas. She's also a science and design faculty member. We'll have Kate Bendewald out of Denver, who will be our science and design certified designer. And what they'll be doing is talking about exploring symptoms, the programming phase of design. You know, Dr. Tapia does this for a living, and she knows how to determine the symptoms in order to be able to prepare a diagnosis. And quite frankly, it's so similar in the approach to the way we approach working with our clients. You know, determining systems, where are the pain points? And so Kate and Rebecca, Dr. Tapia, will be giving you just how they're doing it in their professions. Kate has taken the course and has learned from Dr. Tapia, so she'll be explaining how she's now using Dr. Tapia's approach in programming with her clients. A couple of other announcements. You might want to join Science and Design on Tuesday of next week, July 15th. I'll be on the Lori Carpenter podcast. It's an Instagram live session at 1:30 Eastern. Lori specializes in the third phase of life, so we'll be talking about how science and design applies to the next generation. Let me see. I want you also to know that for any of you going to the Las Vegas show in late July, Janet Marina, Rose Tanjoko, and I will be interviewed by Cindy Hodnett from Furniture Today on July 28th at 10 in the morning, and we'll be talking about designing well-being. So I hope if you're going to Vegas, I hope you'll be able to join us. The other big news that I want to announce is that, and if you got my newsletter, you already know about this, but we are launching, we're announcing our symposium for October Furniture Market, October 24th. The theme of the symposium is When Design Heals, How Interior Design Shapes Health. It's a full-day symposium at Congdon Yards. And, you know, I'm starting to do more of this because based on our April symposium, if I heard anything from the attendees, you want more of this. You want more education. You also want to be building a community. And so I'm working on that as well. So the morning session for October will be on the science, the education, color, fractal patterning. And the afternoon session will be all about marketing and messaging the science in design and neuroaesthetics. We'll have some specialists on marketing and branding. We'll have a specialist on building websites using the science and design. And it's going to be a great day, just as it was in April. And we will have showroom tours on the morning of Saturday, the following day. Go to scienceanddesign.com, click on events to learn how to register. There is an early bird incentive. So what I'd like to do then is get started and essentially introduce our guests for today. Let me introduce Erica McLean out of McLean by Design in Dallas, Marie Cloud out of Indigo Pruitt in Charlotte, and Kat Blue from Blue Lantern Studios in Atlanta. Say hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
So here's what we're going to do. I'm the lucky guy. I get to ask a lot of questions and let the specialists answer the questions. So what I want to do for everyone listening is just start with an easy question that deals with how all of these esteemed designers and new leaders in our industry, how they got started with this whole subject of neuroaesthetics, biophilia, and science. So, what was the trigger for all of you? Who wants to start? Marie, do you want to start? You're drinking your coffee. Sorry.
Oh, good. I'm happy to hop in. Hello, everyone. I would say good morning because I'm having a cup of coffee, but I guess I'll say good mid-afternoon or mid-morning, something like that. Hello. My name is Marie Cloud, and I am obsessed with all things wellness in the home space. Um, I think to jump right into that initial question, how I got started, I think like a lot of my peers, we kind of had this innate feeling of, we've kind of been operating in this wellness space because we're trying to cater to our clients. We're trying to be intentional about getting to know who they are, what their stories are, and how we can align aesthetically. And so my line of questioning during the questionnaire consultation stage became what almost kind of felt like a therapy session. Like I was getting to know my clients and what are their struggles on a mental health level. And it wasn't until I went to one of the symposiums a few markets back. I'm part of High Point by Design, and I met Mike and spent some good time with him. And the minute that they start presenting this information, I was completely captivated. It gave me the foundational vocabulary and the validation that I needed for what I had been feeling as I've been serving my clients.
Kat, do you want to pick up on that?
Sure. So I design hospitality and restaurant spaces, so a little bit different market, but I was working on a hotel project and we really wanted to, this was prior to COVID, and we wanted to bring the natural environment indoors. And so infusing the interior and exterior experience at this particular hotel. And then COVID happened, and we realized the importance of bringing in nature into the interiors, especially when people felt like they were stuck indoors. And then for me, being a hospitality designer, I really feel like our spaces are accessible to everyone. And when I met Mike Peterson, I realized that intuitively I was applying the principles of the science and design into our work. But now I have the scientific backing that really proves that it's improving the health and well-being of our clients and their customers. So I have a newfound passion for what I do. I've been in the industry for 30 years and really didn't realize that I was creating environments that heal. And I'm very excited about that.
Erica?
Yeah, so I think in some ways, just based on these two stories, I might be the odd duck out in a way. I usually am. But when I first learned about what it was to be an interior designer, which is when I was building our house here in Texas, I just didn't grow up with that concept or knowing what that was. I knew people who decorated and just had taste. I don't know. But I was like, oh, this is an actual profession. Oh, great. Made natural sense to me. I'm going to get a PhD in environmental psychology. I knew exactly where I was going to go. I was going to go to Penn and blah, blah, blah. But it was because like I've been interested in decorating and creating my own spaces since I was a kid. I grew up in a household that was a very, as I just say, a tumultuous environment. And so I always knew creating the space for me that was my safe haven was just, it was a necessity. It wasn't anything else that I thought about. And then growing up as an elite athlete, training and traveling all over the world, I'd always kind of like, the first thing I do is like reorient my hotel room just to make sure like I had the optimal space to do like my physical therapy in my room, my stretches, my all the things I needed to do, just my movement patterns. And so my interest always in creating spaces for people was always about how does it make you feel? How is it that you want to move in the space? I started studying color theory in high school and took several classes in it through college and had studied things about like music theory, and I knew equestrian theory and just how those activities make people heal. So anyways, to me, it was, oh yeah, I'm gonna go get a PhD in environmental psychology. I was also a new mom. And by the time I started my practice, I had two toddlers, two under two. Yeah, who has time for a PhD? I also have undergraduate degree and a master's degree already. So I was like, okay, wait, let's fast track this. And I went back to school for interior architecture so I could really understand the space planning elements from an architect's point of view and be a good partner to them. And then as I've just been sharing with people why I'm getting into this field, I believe it was Mark Phillips and Patty Carpenter, who were like, wait a minute, she could be a great candidate for the science and design program. And I had not heard of it. The moment I was introduced to Mike, I was just like, here I am. This is my hallelujah. This is my, and I've truly felt like this program has been my shortcut and fast track to not only getting kind of the terminology I would have gotten through that PhD, but also getting to meet so many incredible practitioners in this space, and then also people and designers in this space. So that's kind of like my path and my why, and it's my shortcut to my PhD.
You know, one of the words that I hear all the time from designers who have gotten involved with this whole subject is the word validating. And all three of you have touched on it, that you intuitively understand the subject matter and you're employing it, but the science is giving you the confidence, frankly, also to act on the new knowledge that you have. All right, let's get a little bit into the science. Um, the we all have emotional reactions to this whole idea of beauty, but we now know that beauty is a physical reaction as well. What's the benefit for designers to know that beauty actually has a physical reaction in our bodies?
I think for me and how I've always approached it is I think it makes it tangible. Like it's no longer, and I think that's where I wasn't really invested in this field before. I'm such a nerd. I'm clinical. I need things to be measurable and objective and less like not just I have taste. But when you realize that, yeah, when you are creating a space for someone, every sensory experience that they take in, touch, smell, feel, even well, I already said touch, but that's the physical piece. But even visually, you are changing them and affecting them on a neurological level. You are either stimulating them or you're boring them, and there's a right balance there. And I think it's no longer, and it also makes it no longer I have taste. I'm giving you my taste. It's no, I'm giving you a design that you are the one living in it. You are the one that's going to feel. And when I think when you can connect that to the physical, and especially and now we know more and more scientific validation of how your environment actually physically helps you to heal, get out of the hospital faster, stay out of the hospital longer. Um, I think it's motivating for not only you as a designer, I think as Mike already started to say, but to our clients as well. It's like, wow, I'm getting something so tangible and measurable, and this is where my money is going. And I think that's incredible.
Mhm. Any other
I
thoughts? Yeah, go ahead, Kat.
Yeah, I don't think that people, and I didn't really realize, I think that we kind of see design on an emotional level, but the science behind it proves that not only our heart rate is lowered, but our blood pressure is lowered in environments that are beautiful or nature inspired. Um, and I think that that's something that as designers, I don't think we realize. We know that interior design is a tangible um, uh, tr art because we're touching materials. I always talk to designers, new designers that come in, and we live in such a virtual world. It's like we're designing for people to be in our environment. So I want to know that you selected that material thoughtfully and it wasn't just a digital image, but the science behind design proves that it is important, the materials that we put in our spaces, and that those materials and that those visuals do improve our well-being on a physical level, not just psychological level. So I think that that's something that's important to all designers to realize, that it really goes beyond emotional, and it is physical.
I think also with that, it takes the need for design from luxury to a necessity, right? It becomes now a need, a hunger for a space for your overall well-being. And so when you show that design is really impacting those things such as heart rate, your stress levels, the time frame with your healing. It elevates what we do, and also kind of the big picture realm of health and overall human performance. It takes it to an entire new level of expectation and delivery.
Yeah, the thing that I like about this physical reaction is that being physical, we now know that beauty that you create as a designer, the impact can be measured. It can be
Yeah.
scanned. This is what's been going on in neuroscience. It's no longer just you walk into a room and you feel good, which is
Yeah.
hard to measure. You can now know that beauty actually does improve health. It lowers heart rate, just as we've talked about. The other thing you've all mentioned the word touch a couple of times. There's a great line from the architect in Sarah Robinson in Italy, and she says, "We cannot touch without being touched in return."
Mm.
And it's just a reminder of what the environment does to us on a regular basis, every second of every day. All right, so listen, I know that all of you have studied this subject matter. What are some of the resources that you have used over the last year or so that have helped you learn more about this subject? If our audience wants to get started with this, what are some of the resources you've used to help you learn more about the science?
Of course, science and design certification is filled with just so much information, but I think also connecting with some of the incredible people that help guide us through those modules,
Mm.
going through and actually grabbing some of those excerpts and books. Ty Farrell, obviously, is just a great resource. Don Ruggles, what is it? Richard? Is it Richard Taylor, Mike?
Richard Taylor.
Yeah, Richard Taylor's another one. But there's, as much as I want to say there's so many resources, there actually isn't. And so I have found also great beauty comes within creating community and connection and relationship around people that's passionate about this topic. I learned so much from, being on panels with Erica and Kat, like how can we really explore the depths of this and figure out how we're doing this well in our own spheres of influence and educating each other. That's been a tremendous help to us aligning this and infusing it in our brand and approach.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree. And, I've read Anne Sussman's book, Cognitive Architecture, which
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed, and Stephen Keller, Nature by Design. Obviously, the science and design program has been a huge help, and I agree with the community. And also the knowledge just gets you in a mindset of research. So when I meet with vendors, I'm, sustainability is a big value for me and my company, and also integrating the science and design. So we're looking for talking to vendors and looking for authentic materials, natural materials, sustainable materials that are going to improve health and well-being of our clients and customers, but also wanting the vendors to back their products too. So I think it's just leading to a more informative approach to design and what you're putting in the designed environment.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, I mean, I know we keep mentioning this course, but it's yes, this course, but I've noted, and I think my note stock from this course is, I can look at my Google sheet and confirm it's hundreds of pages long. I took a lot of notes. But the names, I notated all of the names. Anjan Chattery. There's actually Aaron Peavy, who's with HKS, who happens to be here in Dallas. We actually just had our first meetup a couple weeks ago. Diving into all of the people who speak as part of the program and just looking into their research. I actually was recently just in Chicago at the beginning of June for NeoCon. I'm a residential designer. I have no need to really go to commercial design oriented conference, but I saw Richard Taylor speaking and I was like, I'm absolutely going to be there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That was so getting to know the names, but then getting to know their research and getting to explore. Like Aaron was working on a project in Southeast Texas, actually, where Simone Biles is from, but like using kind of the scientific principles to design education environmental spaces. So, and I think part of where I always, before I knew about the science and design program, I'm a huge fan of architecture. So I think someone else mentioned like where are other places to look up and meet designers, but like looking at like art historical architects, like I'm a huge fan of Lou Kahn, um, Luis Barragan out of Mexico City, and like these architects were already talking about the emotional impact of color, light change, the way they use light and natural light, I mean, in their projects. So a lot of that is already out there in a lot of different ways. And another designer, current designer who just came out with a book, which I got at High Point, was Olga Naiman. Her book, Spatial Alchemy, is incredible, but I've heard about her just how she talks on podcasts. I don't know if anyone, Luann Nigera's Well-Designed Business podcast has a few really amazing episodes that I listen to actually on repeat. Olga's one of them. Um, Gala Magritte has a great episode. So anyways, there's you can take it in so many different forms, show up to like anything that's science or design or environmental psychology related at any of the markets, the books, podcast. Yeah, there's just reach out. If you don't know where to start, just be like, hey, Erica or Marie, Kat, like, where are you going? Let's hang out.
You know, let me give you a couple of other names that you might want to consider. You've heard the name Don Ruggles. Don is an architect out of Denver, Colorado, who actually started me on this journey 10 years ago. And Don is the author of a great book called Beauty, Neuroscience, and Architecture. And that's where I would start if I wanted to learn more about this subject matter. Now, Kat mentioned the word sustainability, and I want to just touch on that very briefly. There's another great book that is available to you. It's called The Shape of Green, and it's written by Lance Hosey. And in his first two chapters, Lance talks about sustainability and its relationship to beauty, which is what we provide as an industry. And what he says is, are they compatible? And the answer is generally yes. But then he goes on to suggest that does one actually trump the other? And he says, yes, beauty trumps sustainability. And the thought process behind it is that if you create a sofa and you build a sofa and it's made of all the right materials, highly sustainable, but it's ugly, is it sustainable? And the answer is no. So there's a lot more to that in his book, and I would suggest that you get your hands on The Shape of Green. All right, so listen, one of the things that I hear from designers who have not yet jumped into the world of science and design is, oh, you know what? Before I go to that, I want to go back to Richard and Ty. Everyone listening, you should know that Richard Taylor is my guest in September 18th on the webinar. And in October, Ty Farrow will be my guest. He's a world-renowned speaker. He was just in Barcelona last week. He's going to be in Singapore on the day that we're at High Point Market. I tried to get him for the symposium, but he chose Singapore over High Point. So anyway, Carly Smith just said Ty Farrow just gave a talk this morning on Zoom. So you know he's everywhere now because of his book. All right, let's get to the next question. A lot of designers aren't real comfortable in talking about this subject matter. They don't quite know how to get started, and maybe are afraid to use words like neuroaesthetics and some of the bigger words in science. How do you talk about this subject with your clients? How do you approach it? How deep do you get?
I found that my clients are very receptive to the concepts and principles of the science and design, integrating biophilia and neuroaesthetics into our projects. I think that because we're super passionate about the science and design and infusing that into our projects, which increases health and well-being for them and their customers. I think that passion comes through, and my clients are always receptive and excited about the concepts of the science and design. So I think it's about having the confidence to speak, using terms like neuroaesthetics, but with that passion behind it and the proof behind it, then it shows that you're, it just gets them excited as well.
Yeah, same here. I think it has really helped me be in. Uh-oh.
I was carrying a can.
Can you guys hear me? There you go.
Yes, I
Yeah, we
think
can hear you,
somebody
Marie,
was
but there's
muted.
somebody else. If everybody could be sure that you're muted, we would appreciate that. Thank you.
But yeah, for me, I just have always just tried to meet clients where they are, regardless of kind of where I was with science and design. Prior to having all of this wealth of knowledge, we've always just tried to meet clients where they are. And in general, we're very mental health and emotion driven with our design. We spend a lot of time talking about mental health and like your home being a sanctuary. So that helps lay some foundation to ease into the health benefits. I think the jargon can be a bit overwhelming. So trying to speak to it in a very simplistic form is always helpful, in a way that they're able to feel like what they want to feel in the space. Start with emotions and just common humanistic language. I think that would translate the conversation more into tangible design strategies. Like, do you want a curved sofa? Let's talk about the benefits of that. Let's like deep dive in it. So I have found just kind of bringing it back and scaling back the jargon has been very helpful, and speak from their perspective of emotion and then lead more into the neuroaesthetics and overall physical health benefits.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about the term, or the word, we said validated already. And I think part of it, how to speak confidently and pull clients in, comes from recognizing the validation of your innate kind of insights. And then like it kind of, at least for me, and it just naturally flows out. I can't talk about design and my passion for creating interior design spaces kind of without the geeky nerdy part coming out. Like I know the words, but and so sometimes they'll start to come out like word vomit, but I'll be like, oh, I can scale it back for you. Just know it's in there. So if you want to know, if people are like, well, what color should this be? What tile pattern should I have? What wood grain, blah, blah, blah. I just, can simply say, hey, I can make a recommendation for you. Just know there's a scientific recommendation based on who you are. First, we're going to get to know you, because that's the first important part. Like I need to kind of know your movement pattern, your needs, like what moves your nervous system, where you find kind of homeostasis. I don't say homeostasis, I say balance, but let me get to know you first, and then there is a scientific recommendation. That's where my kind of recommendation is going to stem from, and I can tell you the science of why, what it's going to be doing to your dopamine levels, your serotonin levels, your cortisol levels. But I think it just kind of starts there, and once you feel validated, you will feel confident, and being able to just kind of also just articulate your whys behind the design selections you're making. And I think that confidence will be palpable. And I also mentioned, you're taking the subjectivity out of it. They will know that it is rooted in something measurably objective. And, I think programs like this and just, resources like me, Marie, and Kat and Mike, obviously, if you ever want to be able to link to a study that's measurable and related to the decision you're making to the client, you could just put that hyperlink there. They can look at it if they want to, but you'll just know in your back pocket that it exists. And so I think starting there and just kind of owning it and coming out of the shadows a little bit more.
You're making me think. Go ahead, Marie. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, Erica, what you just processed had me, it just triggered a thought. I do think it's important to kind of strike the balance of dropping some of the heavy jargon, but also being sure that you're expressing the weight and the capacity of this design, right? I think it's important for them to understand the gravity of what you bring to the table, and that takes confidence. That takes a very clear and approach that's going to be essential for you to articulate these things. So I do think it's definitely a balance between the two. of being sure that you're able to meet them where they are and that you're able to convey these things in a very simplistic way, but also ensuring you're creating and communicating that value.
I gotta say, when you said to meet them where they are, that yes, and I know from like, studying on negotiation and just how to have influence, meeting people where they are before you hit them with something new, it's foundationally kind of the most critical. And I think, and I've had clients actually, that's where I've gotten clients. And as a newer designer in Dow, it's like earning their trust and earning their business is like, whoa. And I'll ask them, okay, why? And they're like, well, you just approached us and asked us questions in ways that we knew the answers to. I wasn't asking, do they, well, I mean, not to use your example, Marie, but do you want to curve, or like, how do you, like, I wasn't asking, I just focus on how you want to feel and get it, because they know themselves best. And I think when you just start there, you can then start layering in the science, because the science, and that's the thing about the science piece, it is related to them uniquely. So if you actually haven't even started with who they are, you can't even really layer on the right scientific kind of elements and aspects. And so, and those questions don't stump them. So sort of meeting them where they're at before you start layering in the new things that will help draw them in and put them at ease. And like, because they say like when you meet people with something that's either confusing or alerting or whatever, they kind of enter their croc brain, as it's been called, and they shut out. They don't hear you anymore anyways. So meet them where they're at. I think that was a really key line, Marie.
I think that's interesting too, just because you both are coming from a residential design perspective. And so we're designing spaces that are for our clients' customers. And so we're having to, figure out what that customer needs. And so it's a little bit different. And so it is interesting to hear your perspective in that way, because you're designing for a specific customer and creating that environment for them, whereas we're designing spaces for a group of people. And that's interesting, but I agree, like meeting the client even where they can understand the terminology. And I think that's why I say passion. Like if you're passionate about something, and I've been a designer for 30 years, so I have a process already. So I am infusing my process with the science and design. So I think that there's, for designers out there that are already established, don't be afraid to infuse that in what's already working for you.
The three of you are early adopters. You jumped on this subject matter as soon as you started hearing about it. Being an early adopter and understanding this, does this distinguish you or differentiate you in your marketplace? Does this give you a competitive edge in your marketplace by having the science behind your design process?
I have to say 1,000% yes. I mean, in especially in the market of Dallas and high society, where every housewife is an interior designer, really they need a creator, where they like to play with colors and fabrics. I don't know, but yes, and I think especially because maybe just my circle, like I do work with a lot of my clients they're engineers, they're attorneys, like they're and most of our clients are affording like the luxury designs that most of us are really putting out and produce, like they're running their own business. They also have business minds, and I think it attract that tangibility and that objectivity and rigor. It definitely attracts my clients and helps me stand out, and it's helped me really break into a very saturated market.
For myself, I am rebranding to really, I mean, I have a line, I have a section on my website currently that speaks to the science and design. We have a quote that says that design is where science and art break even, by Robin Matthews. But on top of that, like what I want to make sure is clear through our branding is that we are infusing the principles of the science and design, and for us, what we call authentic sustainability, which science and design comes first, and then we care about the materials we're putting in our spaces. So yes, we're in the process where we definitely feel like this, especially in the hospitality design sector, will set us apart from other people in the industry.
So one of the other questions that that comes up in talking about this whole subject is, how do you market this information? And Kat, you just touched on it with the quote on your website, but do any of you want to comment on how you're positioning your brand in terms of marketing this whole subject of neuroaesthetics and science in design?
So for us, we've kind of infused it over time as we, added different levels of knowledge, experience. We've kind of just, trickled it into our branding along the way. From the very beginning, we've always approached design from a very, you know, sanctuary type of approach. We actually refer to it as wellness, like NEST. That is like
Ah,
how we describe our design philosophy. And so we stay with that as we added the science and design knowledge and layer. And we're going to continue to build on that. So that's the way that we view our design philosophy. It is an infusion of the physical and the emotional well-being and you know principles coming together. For the Indigo Pruitt umbrella, it's both. Those two are very important for us, and we're building up this neuroaesthetic piece to be more impactful and to be more visible in our design approach.
Yeah. And I think both Kat and Marie also said it, the word infuse. I think that is just so critical, because I think in terms of also, in terms of your marketing, in marketing, you want to be consistent. You want to show up how you say you're going to deliver. And when, something about kind of the science of design or science of beauty is not just a tagline on your website or a quote from someone on your website, but it's literally infused into every post you make on Instagram. It doesn't have, not every post has to be, that nitty gritty, like the clinical words. It can just be commenting on how a space made someone feel, or a change that came like internally, or how it was personalized to that, whatever it might be. Um, it's the language you use, it's the imagery you select, it's how you have your photography shot. Like, what, because we're together by ourselves, what fractal patterns are showing up in each image, and how you've oriented that, when you're doing your styling for your photography session. It's your brand colors, it's your fonts. It's literally, it's that infusion, I think, that makes it come off as truly authentic, because there is, neuroaesthetics is just a category of neuroscience, but there's a whole cognitive neuroscience of even presenting, of speaking, of storytelling. So I think it's tapping into all aspects of neuroscience and thinking of how you're doing your brand presentation. I think one of the things that I learned about during this program was 3M's VAS software, their visual attention software, and how that's even being used in marketing. So understanding where the eye is scanning and how much of the image they're taking in on even a single marketing piece. So I've started running some of my own marketing pieces through that to make sure that the information is being digested and consumed in a way from a neuroscience standpoint that I would hope for. But yeah, so in terms of our branding, like I even put it on my business card that I'm a science and design certified. I just did put science and design certified. It's just there. People can see it, and not, and a lot of times people do ask about it. They're like, what does that mean? And I will say, like, my website is definitely due to, as Marie said, I need to keep injecting some more insights. Like, I've kind of, our general website has a lot of the foundation on each page of this, but it needs more. We just got to get back to it. But yeah, I think it's about infusing it, figuring out how you can naturally infuse it authentically to you and your team and your brand in a way that is not just for jargon's sake, but is truly authentic to you, because that will come off naturally and people will spot the BS if you are using it otherwise.
Right.
Yeah.
And part of why I'm rebranding is to make sure that that is infused in my message, but also to be able to confidently go after clients in the hospitality sector that align with our values. and it's apparent to them that, yes, this is a core value of ours that is infused throughout our brand. And that's important to us because, you know, there's a lot of designers out there, and how do you distinguish yourself? And how do you, I mean, I know what my messaging is, but how do you get that messaging across to everybody who's looking at your brand?
Mhm.
You know, Erica just mentioned VAS. VAS is one of our sponsors and partners of Science and Design. And I don't want to just touch on it since we brought it up. Visual attention software from 3M essentially has the ability to predict where the unconscious mind will be attracted in the first 3 seconds of viewing a new image. 95% of our conscious thoughts are unconscious first. And that's a telltale of importance. So just know that visual attention software, and a lot of designers are now using it. Just Google up VAS3M, and you'll get to play around with a little bit, but it'll help you. They call it visual spell check. So think of it that way, and you'll find you have a new tool for your toolbox.
Mike, this is Mark Phillips. I'd like to jump in for a second on that because we have played with the software, beginning with a photo of what it looks like when you walk into Phillips Collection. And immediately the eye went to a glass vase and a flower, neither of which were ours. So, there were some real lessons we had dramatically. Not only does it tell you where it goes, but how long they're likely to stay and dwell on that piece. So
Yes.
it can help you from everything from photo shoots to showroom design to layout in your customer home. It's a very
It's
valuable.
heavily used. Thank you, Mark. It's heavily used in website design as well, and you can understand why. Talking about marketing, this whole idea of science, we're seeing that the language of interior design is changing. What I did in preparation for this call is I went through 5 or 6 different websites from some of our designers who have completed the certification program. Dayhouse Studio in Utah, their headline is Bridging Interior Design and Health, a New Paradigm for Design. SDS Designs in Virginia actually uses the phrase science and design in their website. Elon in the DC area, Neuroaesthetics, the science of how beauty and art affect our mind. Rendezvous Design in Fort Lauderdale, wellness is the new wealth. You've heard Kat's line. Erica has a headline that says our science-based design approach. Trisha Turk in Colorado Springs, the interior design firm dedicated to the beauty of well-being. So what you're seeing is the language of interior design is changing, and I heartily invite all of you to if you're not using that language yet, go ahead and catch up because that's where the industry is headed. All right, so we're gonna switch and talk a little bit about biophilia, and I want to talk about patterns and fractals. In Don Ruggles' book, Beauty, Neuroscience, and Architecture, he talks about it a lot. And of course, we've already mentioned Richard Taylor, who is a fractal fluency specialist. So what is it about fractal patterning that is so important in the world of interior design?
I think fractals are kind of the way that nature communicates. Like it's almost underlying language is how they show up, in trees, the river, even within our body, like our lungs. Like when we incorporate this repetition, this organic pattern in design, whether it's in wallpaper or textiles or even architecture, they communicate safety within our brain. It allows us to feel a sense of comfort, which is now more than ever so necessary in spaces. And so I think it's important for us to understand that that's an intentional connection to nature and that there's various ways to infuse those things. That sense of safety, I think, is just a familiar place that we all want to aim to have within our homes or spaces.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And I think as you keep talking nature, and we keep circling on this concept of nature and how it makes us feel. And I think I think the science and design program actually opens with kind of statements from Anjan Chattery, where he's talking about how we are really an ancient brain operating in a new like modern society. And it's sure like we are an evolved human species, but like our Neanderthal like kind of building blocks are actually really still within us when we talk about like how like the subconscious. And I think we're talking about like nature, how does it make us feel? Well, it's rooted way back when with our very simple ancient brains where, and that's what we're attracted not only fractal patterns, but like firelight, that like warmth, that was like warmth and safety, the bird sounds, and why like, okay, when they're talking about like what sounds are best soothing to you, well, it's bird sounds, because when the birds are chirping in nature, like, okay, it's safe, it's everyone's happy and copacetic, but when the birds go quiet, it's like, whoa, something is coming, we need to move. Sound of water, like it's fresh, it's it's nourishing, etc. Anyways, but in the fractal patterns, kind of the same thing. It's just like, I think Richard also went actually at and it's in an article recently in Interior Design magazine, but he talked about it also at Neocon, where if you've ever gone to a beach and seen a bird pecking through sand, like looking for food, like that's that bird like scanning, and we do the same thing. We're looking for fractal patterns, and mostly what they call mid D level fractal patterns, because like everything can be measurable. You've got low, mid, and high fractal patterns. We're looking, our eyes based on our ancient brain are looking for that balance. And we don't find those soothing fractal patterns, those repeating patterns in natures, whether it's, an actual plant in the house, artwork, patterning on wood, or, I think Richard also has a rug line out. If you don't see those fractal patterns, it induces stress. So I think just understanding that and knowing kind of the right balance, but knowing that it's not just a modern science, it's truly how we are deeply rooted and wired and cannot be unwired at this point. I think it's so important to make sure that you're addressing those fundamental needs that we all have.
And knowing that it can't be unwired is also a good reminder that that subconscious piece is important, right? It's that familiar energy and that rhythm soothes the nervous system subconsciously, letting that body feel at ease before it even registers in our mind,
And I think that as designers, we're surrounded by materials that have fractals in it, whether it's wall covering or flooring. And intuitively, we're drawn to these patterns, but with knowing the science behind them, now you can thoughtfully place these products in the environments that help people's well-being.
Yeah. Richard, the phrase that is attributed to Richard is the fractals are the basic building blocks of nature. And
Peterson specifically doesn't say my name. He just said Elon.
Or what?
Ooh.
I don't know who that was. Anyway, so fractal patterning is essentially the basic building blocks of nature. And if you did a cross section of the tree canopy, of a tree canopy and our circulatory system, you would see that they're almost identical. And again, we're going to be talking about fractal patterning and marketing at the symposium in October 24th. Half of the day is devoted to that because it's so important. So what do biophilic elements, let's make it real in terms of design today. What do biophilic elements look like in interior design? What are some examples?
Well, I think that, we all know that green walls and growing walls and live plants in the environment are biophilic. But we can go beyond just specking live plants into spaces and create, for us in commercial spaces, we can't always put live plants. So, we've done in one of our projects a big silk tree in the interior space, which brings the outdoors in or simulates that effect, but also is something that can be easily maintained. So you can bring in biophilia through biomimicry as well. And that doesn't just have to be through plants, that could be through wall covering that simulates nature, That can be through artwork. It can be through views to the outdoors. If you have a property that has beautiful views, but if you don't have a property that has beautiful views, and again, this is, I'm speaking from more of a commercial application, you can bring those elements in a lot of different ways that doesn't just have to be through bringing the outdoors in by bringing actual plant material into the interior. It's best if you can, because that's better for your health. But if you can't, it's still beneficial for your health if you can bring in simulated biophilia. Other thoughts?
Any other thoughts,
Yeah.
Erica, Marie?
So when I think of biophilic elements, I try and think of things that can mimic natural forms, the textured walls that resemble bark or stone, a skylight. I love a good skylight, a water feature. Even, how can you really play on the senses? We love infusing and engaging all the five senses as we approach designs and as we spend time with, like, how can a person really experience the space? So we like adding, different sense diffusers. How can we invoke maybe rain or like that beautiful lavender feel that just make you feel at peace and create a sense of calming? So how can you infuse the sensory elements, but then also subtle mimics of nature?
Mm-hmm.
Understood.
And I love, Kat, also how you mentioned it's not only what you choose to put in the home, but it's how you choose to use and give, or the home or the space, I should say, Kat. I know you're in commercial, but how you give the built environment of you to the outside. And I think in its surroundings, especially with the right framing, like taking all of that in and using that as part of your interior design. I think there's kind of that concept of prospect and refuge. So sure, there's like the actual selections you're making for the built environment. And part of that can also be internal. Like, how do you have a chair or something that makes someone feel enclosed and protected, but then that chair is looking out to an expansive view, like over the ocean. So you have the prospect of like your broader view, but you also have, kind of refuge. And I think Frank Lloyd Wright actually used that in a lot of his homes. The entryways were much smaller and a little bit cavernous, so you felt safe and protected and kind of held as you were coming in, and then it opened up to a more expansive interior environment. So I think, and then there's lighting, which is actually where I learned about Richard Taylor first, was through one of his lighting collections. I think it's partnered with Waka, I believe, but they're here in Dallas. Anyways, so they really focus on how fractal patterns are woven into the actual material and the way the piece is constructed, but also the way that light is cast off as well. What patterns is that light shining onto the wall and like surrounding surfaces? So I think there's just so many ways you can bring nature in far beyond plants. Like we talked about with Anjan Chatter, like it's catering to our old brains and all five senses of what makes us feel safe. And like, I think Marie, you said something about like knowing that that's going to hit them and register with them and make everyone feel, whether it's a commercial space or a personal residential space, they're going to feel that innateness before they recognize and before they process anything else that's surrounding them. So that, to me, that is the true like biophilic aspect of bringing nature in, is tapping into the effects of those aspects of our ancient brain.
Yeah.
Right. And you mentioned prospect and refuge, which, I honed in on that you could have views to nature, but even Don Ruggles talks about how if you're in a restaurant, and I design restaurants, like where do you go? What's your favorite spot? It's that booth. You feel protected. You have that refuge, and then you can look forward and you look out onto the space and you feel safe, and but you're still a part of that. And I think, I'm always, and this intuitively is part of what I do as a restaurant designer. I'm always talking to clients about making sure that they're integrating booths and banquettes, but it's not just because, it adds softness and form and flexibility. It creates less flexibility for a restaurateur, but than a sea of tables, but you feel safe in that environment. and that's important. So
Bill Browning was our keynote at our event in April at Market, who is a renowned specialist in biophilic design, and he talked extensively about prospect and refuge and how important it is to the human being. Listen, we're just about out of time, but I have one last question, and I think it's kind of important as a reminder. In his book, Constructing Health, Ty Farrow says the human body is like a radar dish, collecting signals and communicating them back to the mind for interpretation. Do you think we as a design industry fully appreciate the impact we have as we create environments that heal?
right.
Mm,
I've been doing this for 30 years and I did not know that I was creating environments that heal. I love what I do, but now I have a newfound passion and drive for and responsibility. I feel like responsibility is kind of key as designers, knowing that we have this capability to create environments that heal. It just empowers you to create spaces that can change the world, really. It's exciting.
Yep.
yeah, I think we, even though maybe most of us or a lot of us maybe have innately internally kind of understood this power, maybe have we truly realized it? No, I think we're just at the tip of the surface of being able to do that. But I think part of it comes with our collective voice. It comes from joining webinars like this, engaging with each other just over a casual coffee, even if it's a virtual coffee. Um, it's it's building that collective confidence, because I do think, and I mean, I've worked with so many different types of non-traditional healers through my time as an Olympic athlete, and they're always kind of in the shadows a little bit, and it's kind of that, if you know, you know, and oh, I knew, so I was hanging out with them, but it's no longer this like hippy dippy kind of hidden sort of niche science. It's truly, I think we're finally getting the words, the validation, the clinical measurement that everyone else respects in a hospital, in a laboratory condition, and in out in modern traditional medicine. We're getting those insights now, and we're being able to communicate them, and I think that is truly empowering. So doesn't mean I don't think that we haven't known those things, that we haven't known how to project it out, but I don't think the world's really been listening. And I think COVID also, how people experience having to be forced to quarantine in their built environments, kind of, as terrible as COVID was, did a huge service for this. People
Mm-hmm.
how they were stuck and how everything around them made them feel. Did it support or erode what they wanted to feel? So I think we have an audience that, that is our collective clientele, that is curious, and they're a little bit more open now. And I think it's on us to join things like the High Point symposium, which, wow, that energy in April was incredible. I think people just felt a sigh of relief, like, I'm not alone. Oh my God, we're talking about it. We're safe. What?
Yeah.
I'm not a weirdo. Like, yes, keep doing that, because our audience is ready to hear it. We just have to, I think, that common shared voice to put it out there.
Hey,
Yeah,
Erica,
I think.
go ahead, Marie. Sorry.
No, I completely agree with both of you ladies. I think, Erica, you're spot on in saying we've always known when a space feels good, right? But now we're learning why. And that's a game
Yeah.
changer for our industry. That's a game changer for designers. Once you understand that the textures you choose, the lighting, even the layout can affect someone's stress level, their nervous system, and their ability to focus or even feel safe, you can't unknow that type of information. It's not just about making a space look good. It's about how you're able to support someone's everyday life, and that's a heavy lift. Their mood, their rest, their relationships. That's powerful. I think as an industry, we're just on the cusp of something really meaningful, where beauty and well-being aren't separate conversations anymore. They're one and the same.
They are one and the same. And what a great place to close this portion of the talk. We're right at an hour right now, and there are a couple of I'm sure there are a couple of questions. If some of you want to start putting questions in the chat, I would appreciate it. While you're doing that, I want to give you a couple other updates. As some of you know, Science and Design has started a university program. Over the last several months, we've lectured at Michigan State, at SCAD, at Western Carolina. I just added for the fall Syracuse University and Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia. I bring this up because I'm looking for more and more connections to universities where we can help share this information and help educate the next generation of designers. So if you're connected to any design school in any way, please reach out to me and see if we can make a connection with them. It is also a great marketing opportunity for you. Kat and I spoke at the Savannah College of Art and Design around 2 months ago. I spoke on the science, and Kat spoke and lectured on how to implement the science. So it was a great 1-2 punch and a nice PR opportunity for both of us. You've heard us mention the certification program a couple of times. What we're talking about here are 22 classes taught by the academics that we've also referred to. It's online, it's self-paced. You have up to a year to complete it. You will be accredited upon completing the course. Go to scienceanddesign.com, click on certification, and use this promo code for the rest of the month, SID100. S like in science, ID 100, and it'll save you a few dollars. I am working almost exclusively now with the graduates of the Science and Design Certification Program. So I'd love to find a way to work with more and more of you upon completing the course. So are there any other?
I want to say something.
Who
Hi,
is
Mike.
that?
Hi, Mike. It's Erin. Hi, Erica.
Erin, how are
Hi,
you?
Marie. Hi, Kat.
Hi.
Hi, you guys are amazing. We were lucky to be with you at the symposium. That was a magical day. Mark is on the call too. We just had an amazing time, and I cannot thank you guys enough for being in my community as well. We are one big giant team of people that are wrapped around the value of the interior design industry and the power of what we deliver. And neuroaesthetics, I believe, is the key. Science and Design, the certification program, you all went through it, and it is a gold mine of what it can deliver to our businesses and our clients, and I think society as a whole. So we are dedicated to your message, Mike. We're dedicated to Science and Design. We're so happy to be a part of your community. Please reach out to me. We have talks and panels at High Point Market, and we have events, and we were on Luann Niagara, and we want to play with you. So everybody who's on the call, please reach out to us. We're dedicated to the cause as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's Erin Oranchak out of Elon Design in the DC area. I'm looking to see if there are other questions here. Natalia Ness is talking about Facebook group. I have a question for you because coming out of the April symposium, people were saying that they wanted Science and Design to create some kind of a group community. If I created a community, should I use LinkedIn or Facebook? Which do you think might be better? This is not a specialty for me.
I
but-
use LinkedIn for, my hospitality business more than Facebook, but I don't know what, the residential community uses.
So if you can type in the chat, which do you think would make more sense? I would appreciate it. We'll stay on a couple more minutes. I'm doing a mini poll, I guess, is what I'm doing right now. So let me know which would you prefer. And
I think the
uh,
word is clearly LinkedIn. And I think what's also great is then we can pull in a lot of these science experts as well. I mean, if we want, we could tag, it might be easier to tag them and engage them as well if we need to. Then
the reason I brought the question up, Erica, is because I don't know how many people are on LinkedIn versus Facebook. And somehow I think the population of LinkedIn is a little smaller, but I do think it's a much more professional community on LinkedIn. And that's what I would prefer as long as people are signing up for it. All right. Well, listen, to everybody, I want to thank you all very, very much. I certainly want to thank Marie, Erica, and Kat for the information they've shared. And it's exciting right now to be part of this industry. And I hope all of you who attended feel the same excitement. And so thank you to everybody. I'm closing the webinar. Thank you. See you.